We have the panel here who I have asked, and thank you very much to be here, to share their areas here on campus and also in regards to our family council that we have. So I'm going to ask the panelists to introduce themselves and their department or the volunteer opportunities that one family member is here for. So I'll start to my left, and Raquel, if you don't mind starting.
Hello, I'm Raquel Martinez. I am on the EWU Family Council. That's something that Maria and Megan just started this last year. We have a Facebook page, parents, if you haven't already gone on there, it's Eastern Eagles families that you can go on. There's lots of different ways to connect with other families. Those of us on the council that are on there try to either send private messages depending on the subject and kind of respecting your privacy, some of those kind of scarier questions, anxieties that some of us experience. But we are available for any questions. Maria is also welcome to share any of our emails if you ever want to email us directly. Some questions, maybe just experience we have. My Eastern Eagle is in her last year this coming fall, was a Running Start student, and we didn't have that traditional beginnings. COVID graduated that first year and has just kind of been a different experience, I think, compared to my husband and I, who were also here at Eastern back in the early 2000s. So available for any questions or concerns and whatever I can do to help.
Thank you.
My name's Taylor Kensel. I'm here from PLUS, which stands for the Program Leading to University Success. We offer small group in-person tutoring at the library. We also have 24-hour e-tutoring services, and so the tutoring kind of is course-specific and discipline-specific, so anything that your student might need in any of their classes to not only be successful if they maybe are a little bit struggling, but if they're also really strong students that want to maintain that really high GPA for a competitive program or, you know, their own personal academic pursuits. We also have academic coaching, which is kind of describe it as like training how to be a college student. So time management, how to best, kind of understand a syllabus, kind of all of those things, like the big skill sets that you need to be really successful. And then we also have study groups and supplemental instruction, and that is really instruction, an instructor-based and course-specific. So it would be just that content from that specific course. The study group leader would have already gone through that course and been really successful, so it's really specific to that course. Totally free for your student, and so we highly recommend that your student use our services. Thank you.
Good morning. It's great to see you all today. My name's Tricia Hughes, and I'm with Counseling and Wellness Services. We offer individual and small group counseling to students. We have a brief intervention model where we'll do an intake with your student if they're interested in counseling, and then our counseling team will see them between 1 and 6 times. And it's free for students to get engaged with counseling. We also have a case manager available, so if students are going to need long-term counseling or that's what they're seeking, then we have a case manager who will work with them to find counseling in our community that is more long-term. We also have well-being coaching, so we have a certified well-being coach who will work with students for free also, and it's around an issue that your student may want to work on. It could be making new friends, it could be sleep, it could be trying to exercise more, eat better. It really is up to the student where they go with that. Some other services that we have are biofeedback. We also check out lights for seasonal affective disorder in the winter when students are maybe not feeling at their best given the weather that we have up here in the Pacific Northwest. Something else underneath counseling and wellness is a food pantry. So we have a food pantry on campus that's open to all students, and we have shelf-stable food, produce, fresh produce, and frozen protein. And the food pantry is open twice a week, and students are more than welcome to come in and take what they need from the food pantry. We also have about 6 cupboards located in different places on campus that are open whenever that building is open and have shelf-stable food within them that students are welcome to take as well. And then next year, we're going to have a basic needs coordinator who's going to be able to help students who may not have health insurance sign up for health insurance, or learn more about food stamps if that's a need, and as well as community resources that we have. And then for you parents, if you have a concern about something that's going on with your student, you can call the counseling office and we'll do a consultation with you just to help you maybe talk to your student or understand what's going on with your student with one of our counselors as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Hoppy. I'm the Director of Student Engagement and Recreation here at EWU. My team's goal and our mission is to help your students find a community while they're here at Eastern, because we all know that they had 17, 18, 19 years developing community back home through sports or through whatever their faith, their extracurricular activities. We want to help them find that new community when they're here at Eastern, because that's the community that's going to help them be successful. We know that school is going to be hard. This transition, this transformation into adulthood is really hard. And now leaving home, that secure support system, that community that they've built over the years is now potentially gone, or there's a gap between them and that community. So we want to help them find a new community here. And we have a variety of ways that we do that, and we're really successful at that I'll talk about here shortly. But we really focus on getting students connected to other students connected to staff and faculty, and students connected to the local community, including our large alumni network. And so that's really our focus, is getting students connected to a community, because that's the support system that they're going to need to be successful. And there's some things that we need your help with to help that process along the way. But I do want to share as we go through this panel that we can see you, which is great. And so if you have questions throughout anything that you hear from any of the panelists, just like in class, put your hand in the air, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have, because we want this to be a meaningful experience to you and to help take this information back to your students so that you can help them get connected to the different support systems. So I'll pass it over to Sam.
Good morning, all. It is actually really nice. We did this on Friday and we could not see the audience. So it is really nice to see all of you, and some of you are smiling, so that's great. Don't celebrate too quickly that you are sending your kid off to us. We didn't bring cake today. There are cookies on move-in day. I did hear that in the last session. My name's Sam Armstrong, and I serve as the Dean of Students here at Eastern Washington University. And so that means a couple of things. One, I get to connect with your students on a regular basis and help them try to navigate Eastern Washington University. And two, I work with an incredible team that is focused on really providing a community of care for your student. In particular, the team that I oversee is actually Counseling and Wellness Services, so Trisha's up here today, and then Student Accommodations and Support Services. So that is, if you have a student that has had accommodations in their K through 12 experience, or needs even temporary accommodations, let's say, God forbid, something happens where they get injured, they break a leg, that kind of thing, and they need some accommodation, some extra time to get to class, that kind of thing, that team works with them. Additionally, our Student Accommodations and Support Services, if a student is in crisis, Counseling and Wellness is there, but there is a team of folks that also will help navigate different processes. Again, extensions with faculty, needing to take some time off, whatever it may be, we work really hard to make sure that if you reach out or your student reaches out, that we are wrapping around that student and providing them with the support services and the resources that they need to be successful in their college career and to get that degree. So that is kind of my piece. There is one other piece that I work with, and that's students' rights and responsibilities. And it is very important that your students not only know what their rights are as a student, but that they understand and know that there is a student code of conduct that they will be held responsible for following through on, right? And so I do also oversee student rights and responsibilities as well. So some of those safety questions, or how do we work with law enforcement, I can speak to those. The big thing for you all is this is a lot. It's a lot of information to take in. It's a new journey. Even if you've had a student that's already gone off to college, maybe they didn't come here, so it's a new system. What this panel wants is for you, A, to see our faces, that there are people here, and B, for this to be the beginning of a conversation, right? So it does not, you don't have to get everything asked today. Please do ask questions, but know that you can reach out to us at any time, and we will help try to guide you and your student as you go through the 4 years at Eastern.
Great, thank you. I forgot to let you know, a lot of their contact is in that white folder. So in your white folders, we provided 7 EW Office to Know, okay? So Taylor is number 5 with Plus. Trisha is number 4 with Counseling and Wellness. And I'm missing 2, and I apologize. See, they're looking at me. I already knew.
We have business cards, so you can.
So on the back, there's plenty of room to add contact information for Chris Hoppy in his area, and for Sam Armstrong, Dean of Students area. So I apologize, but we will make sure that you have them added. Our university police was not able to be here today, but their contact is on here. Sam is able to answer questions in regards to Eastern having our police officers here, and what does that mean in regards to relationships they have with our students, and being able to have that safety net, so to speak, of having our very own EW police at Eastern. So she's open to answering those questions as well. You heard from housing, so they were number 6 on this sheet. And then your students may or may not have already had their academic advising, but they are number 2. They were also letting students know what their next steps were this morning as they checked in regards to advising. So they should know if they have an afternoon session or not. So I do apologize, but that is in your sheet, so you don't have to frantically be writing information down. And then I do have a sheet on our family programs that Raquel was talking about in regards to how to stay connected with our families, with our office, Megan and I, and really being involved. Maybe you may want to join the council as well, but really our goal with the council is to ask you, the families, of your needs, of resources, of what you, how we can help you so you are able to help support your students as well. And I like to have fun. So we do a lot of events, social events. We partner with alumni. Ms. Kelsey is in the back there, and so we partner a lot with alumni office. For example, I hope you're joining us this Sunday at the Mariners game, that we're partnering with alumni and families. So it's just an example of just some events that we do throughout the year. I'm really excited for that one. It's a good break in between all the orientations as well. So panelists, oftentimes we know that students, we are always encouraging them to go to departments to get support, but why should I be telling, if I'm a parent, why should I be encouraging my student to utilize your services? What is it exactly? Why am I, when I see that resources, what is it that I'm referring them to? So.
Yeah, I would say that there's a common misconception that tutoring and other academic services are only for students that are struggling. And I think they really are for all students, especially with some of the excellent, really competitive health science programs that we have, and really everything that your student may need. And those kind of high, what we call drop, withdraw, or fail rate classes, they can be really challenging even for really strong students. And so it helps them maintain their strength and their confidence as a student, and really to help to kind of destigmatize the service as only one for students that are struggling. So I think that it would be really great, as a parent of a strong student, or even one that maybe is struggling with the class, just to get help and seek some academic assistance sooner rather than later. Our services do fill up quickly, so it's good to just sign up, even in kind of like anticipating that you might want tutoring and your student might want some kind of academic assistance. The sooner the better. It's definitely what I would recommend. Yeah.
Thank you.
The first 6 weeks or so of the term is a big transition for your students. They're coming from being at home in most cases, having their own room possibly, to sharing a room, to making new friends, to having classes that might be more difficult for them than they were in high school. And they can be homesick, and they can be struggling with making friends, and they can be struggling with their classes. And so the counseling center's there just to, maybe give them some skills to help alleviate their stress. And we really just want parents to know we have a counseling center on campus, and feel free to send your students there, and we'll really try to help them. The counseling center also does a good job of referring to other resources like Plus on campus that would be helpful for students. So if your student comes in, it's not necessarily that they'll just get counseling, but they'll also learn about other resources that can fit for them as well. I did also forget to say the other two parts that come under counseling and wellness. One of them is we will help your student if they're having a hard time with their immunization uploads into MedProctor. If they need any help around that, have them contact our office. And then the other thing we do is contact tracing of students for COVID. So if there are any COVID questions out there, I'm happy to answer those as well.
So the why question for me is one of my favorite questions, because the building community, it exists, it happens, it occurs in so many different ways. We really want to find any pathway for your students to find a community here at Eastern. We have really a variety of different ways that our intramural program, our Eagle Entertainment program, and our Epic Adventures program, those are 3 programs under our umbrella. They're really kind of, if you don't know anybody on campus, they are the best ways for your students to meet new people and find somebody that lives in a different res hall, is in a completely different academic program, and find something that they have a common interest, and that starts the conversation for them to see what else they have in common. And the opportunity is for them to hopefully find that community, and then we then support them with other wraparound services to help that community thrive. And so we have a really strong Greek community here at Eastern. We have over 100 different student organizations and clubs at Eastern, whether they're faith-based, they're academic-based, cultural-based, art-based. If your students have an interest in those communities, we will get them connected, and we will help support them for that community to thrive and to be strong together. And then we also have a really strong club sports program. There's over 25 different sport clubs here at Eastern, ranging from your traditional sports, baseball, basketball, volleyball. We have a hockey program that's really strong here at Eastern. We also have a lot of non-traditional sport clubs that students can then again find something that they haven't tried before and get deeper involved into it and meet some new people that they can develop community with. But the reason that I think that it's important, the why question for them to get involved in these programs is, even before COVID, we saw the trends of this is where students and your children started to find their community, and it just was, this is how they found community, was just going like this, swiping through. And that's even more so the case since COVID, is that now that they're leaving this friend network that they established over their childhood, they're coming to a place that they maybe don't feel comfortable. It's really easy to kind of digress into the phone, and that's where you feel secure, you get those likes, and you feel like you've developed a community. But I'm guessing that if your students, your children were to ask you or to come to you and say, hey, life is getting really tough, I need some help, your response isn't going to be go to social media. That's where the answers are going to be. You're going to find that support network in person. Those are the people that are going to help you get through those challenges. And that's what we need our students to do, is to meet with our staff, meet with our teams in person, make those connections. We'll get them connected to other peers, whether it's in their res hall, with their student organizations, so that they can find those support systems and get connected. It's something that we really need your help to navigate some of those early conversations. We will, in a few minutes, in about 15, 20 minutes, we're gonna have our involvement fair during lunch. And we will ask for you to help drag your students, drag your children to our tables and make those connections, because we really believe those in-person relationships are what are going to help them be successful through their time here at Eastern.
We always set it up where we're right behind each other, and he says no social media, and then I tell you about using social media.
She has the best social media, though. I
So,
would say if there
so here's what I will say. In my role, I work with a lot of teams where it's resources that can help your student be successful, or when they hit those hard times, you can reach out, they can reach out, and we will do that community of care that I talked about. But really, truly, why a student would use any of the resources that are up here are first and foremost about student success, obtaining that degree and that diploma, and second, about lifelong wellness, right? So how do we create and help them utilize everything that they have in the college environment to create lifelong well-being? So all of you in this room know that there's a lot more to life than just the job, right? So the job matters and is important, and as my father said to me in college, you do need to learn how to pay for yourself eventually. But the thing is that there are other pieces that help us have full and fulfilling lives. And so that's these components up here. So if it's health, well-being, them reaching out to health and wellness so that they can think about what will work for them long-term and lay a good foundation there, if they haven't already started that. If it's getting outside and connecting, joining an organization, engaging in community service, those are things that will sustain them long after they leave Eastern Washington University. And so that's part of the college experience, and part of the why it matters for college is to get some of those other pieces for well-being purposes. That being said, there are a couple of things, since I know I'm not necessarily on that sheet because my departments I work with are, and those really are the more important ones than me. I do have an email that gets checked within 24 hours and people get responses. I may not have the answer right away, but I will tell you within 24 hours how long it's going to take me to respond to you. And that email is really simple. It's dos@ewu.edu. Dean of Students, DOS. And then on social media, so here's the thing. Some of you, I'm not going to encourage you, if you don't already have social media, to engage in social media, but it is a resource for you or your students. And I do have an Instagram account that is at DOSEWU. So again, that DOSEWU. And I heard Melanie, some parents asked about vaccinations and what should they bring for moving in, and what does move-in day look like. Those questions are already answered on there, and we have saved the posts in a really easy way where if you click resources or your student clicks resources, you can see all of that information. We regularly are responding to our direct messages, so sometimes for some of your students, because of the last couple of years, it is hard for them initially to reach out. That might be the first easy inroad. So I will have students reach out to me in direct message format, and then I will go and I will try to connect them. I'll say, hey, why don't we meet for coffee? or tea or whatever they drink. I try to avoid energy drinks, my friends, but in a pinch, I will do that for them. So the thing is I will meet them and I will connect them, or I will have a team member connect them. I actually had a student, I bring my dogs to campus pretty regularly because they're a big hit. They're more popular than I am. And they're large. And I had a student direct message me. I have no idea who this student is, y'all. She direct messaged me and said, thank you so much. I was going through a really tough time and that made a huge difference. So sometimes that's their inroad. We want them to use whatever inroad is comfortable for them, and then we will get them connected because those in-person relationships do really matter.
Thank you. I want to open it up for questions because I want to make sure that we answer all your questions. So you don't have to come to the microphone if you don't want to, but definitely if you have a question. Chris, you're pointing at someone.
There was a question right over
Sorry.
there.
Thank you.
At night, walking on campus at night, is there any safety?
Yeah, so walking at night on campus is the
Okay,
question.
here's a little bit of the safety talk. So, again, I will reference, there's a couple of really good posts on that social media that say safety on EWU's campus, and they'll guide you to EWU alerts. They'll talk about our blue lights. We do have cadets with our police department who, if they call the non-emergency number, 7676 is the non-emergency, it's 359-7676. If they call that non-emergency number, if we have a cadet available or an officer available, they will walk with them, they will meet them and walk with them. We have a blue light map throughout campus. We also would encourage all of you and your students to sign up for EWU alerts. That will give you weather alerts, safety alerts. That's really an important piece of the overall safety. Our campus is, for the most part, a very safe campus in the state of Washington. That being said, it is about thinking through things. And that goes back to what Chris shared about making human connections and having buddies so that, like, if I can't get a hold of a law enforcement, I can call my roommate or somebody on my floor. They'll walk with me. And having that planning. Our law enforcement, if your student has some anxiety around some safety things, which is possible, right? That definitely happens. Our law enforcement officers are always happy to engage in safety planning with them. So they just need to call that 7676 number, and our officers will sit down and talk through whatever their individual safety situation is and how to create a plan and develop that. Helpful?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Their preferential loads not quite developed, and they don't think.
Yeah, my friend, till like 26. And then also sometimes me, as not 26, doesn't think things through. So some of this also, again, you heard in the earlier session, is about asking really good questions and having them start to process. I would not necessarily, no, I would do this with a student, but I don't necessarily recommend this. Case scenarios, like what are you gonna do if, actually can be really helpful. It can also be helpful for identifying what information they need to bring with them or have access to, medical records, that kind of thing. So thinking about some of those case scenarios, and I know Maria's team gave you or will be giving you some conversations for the drive home that can help with that.
Any other questions? So we'll go here.
Do you guys have any foster care supports for kiddos?
Yeah,
Or is there a group that you can?
yeah, so, go for it.
I can do this too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of the team that I work with in student accommodations and support services, and you can definitely reach out to me directly. We do have the Passport program on campus, which Maria actually used to work very closely with and has a lot of heart for as well, and so she can talk to you about that. But we offer different training sessions, workshops, some opportunities to get together and make connections, and additionally, just some of those extra wraparound support services, and we will reach out directly to those students. But I would definitely, connect with me and I'll get you in contact with that team. We currently have one full-time staff member that works with former foster youth, or we also have at risk of being homeless youth, and that's another staff member that works with that team, and we have some graduate students. That also speaks to what Tricia, those two teams, the Student Accommodations and Support Services team and Counseling and Wellness, work really closely and have really ramped up our wraparound services, so that basic needs piece, and how do I sign up for Apple Care, which is the Washington State Health Insurance? How do I, navigate things? So we will, wherever the student can fit, we will make sure to get them connected.
Thank you. I think right behind you there was a question, yeah.
So if my student wanted to sign up for Plus services, I have an email here. Is that the best way for her?
Actually, the website might be a little bit easier. There's a portal that the student can sign up for tutoring. And then we also have, it kind of depends on what the student wants, but we have tutoring that we're taking requests for fall right now. Academic coaching is great too if they are thinking that maybe they want to start sort of like a little more holistic and big picture, so kind of those like bigger skills that translate into all of the courses versus course-specific help. And then the study groups will come up shortly, but it really depends on kind of the instructor and the, kind of if they request a study group, then we train and certify the study group leader, and then that's specific to the course too. So we have a lot of different services, but I think specific to tutoring and academic coaching, if your student went to the website and just requested either of those, we can process that request like immediately. So definitely recommend it. Thank you.
And I think over here to the right, yes.
So I have a student who's not going into a music program that is very music interested. Is there a club or a walk-on
Yeah.
or anything like that?
So during the resource fair, I'm spacing his last name, Don
Goodwin?
Goodwin, thank you. Don Goodwin is there. And so students, he works with our marching band, a lot of support for students who are interested in music and not going into being a music major. He has a table at the resource fair, so I encourage you to go see him and talk to him more about it. So yes. Thank you.
And we do also, as part of the over 100 different student clubs and organizations that we have, you don't have to be in an academic program to be a part of a music-oriented club or whatever the different academic choice is, but they're open to all students because, and that's one last piece of the why that you all should encourage your students to participate in these clubs and organizations is there are services that are, there's a committee that essentially all students pay into an SNA fee. A lot of you pay into an SNA fee. And when there's a student committee that determines, okay, here's how we want to support students while they're here at Eastern. And so it's students really trying to put together a menu of opportunities for students to get engaged. If your students choose not to get engaged, we don't cut refund checks. So we just give the money to other students who do participate and get involved. And so that's another good reason for you to drag your students out to the involvement fair and connect with our different programs, because these are services that are really, it's shown, these are the services that really are helpful and effective at your students being successful to get to graduation. But they're available to all students. So intramurals, club sports, the other clubs, Greek life, they're available to all students. So.
Any others? Yes, back there.
For your native students, like, they come see you, like, to find out about some.
No, we will have Evelyn oversees our Native project, our Native Center, and so she has a table as well out there. So I encourage your students to go there. Yeah. Any other questions before we keep going? Yes.
After fair, is it a time to sign up for these clubs or just to explore them?
So when your students get here in the fall, we're going to host an event called NeighborFest. And NeighborFest will have all of those student organizations plus external community organizations, just really support services in the local community, businesses, and departments from campus. Over 200 different tables are going to be present for your student to learn about all those services and the actual clubs. Students from those clubs will be there to help talk about, here's what we do, here's why you should get involved. Today what we have is our Dylan Deffenbaugh, who is our Assistant Director of Student Clubs and Organizations and Leadership Programs. He will be here to talk about all the different clubs that we do have and the Pathway, which is a tool called Eagle Sync for you to learn more and get involved. So the clubs won't be here, but Dylan represents those clubs and he'll tell you about how to get involved in those clubs.
Any others? It's been great questions. Yes.
Is the campus police available 24/7?
Yes.
That's the short answer is yes. So yeah, the slightly longer answer is it is a fully formed and functioning police department that is tied to the university. So it is the Eastern Washington University Police Department. Dispatch, so if a student were to call 911, that's going to route through the city of Cheney. So depending on what's going on, where the call is coming from, Cheney may respond. EMTs, we don't have our own EMT team, but you can definitely see the fire department and some of the EMT stuff right across the street. And it's a small community. But again, for non-emergency things, that 7676 number goes to an on-call duty officer's phone. So while our police station isn't necessarily open 24/7, so if they went to the police station to try to see somebody, if they called that non-emergency number, somebody is going to pick that up, or they need to leave a quick message, because if they don't pick it up, it means that person might be on a call.
So is that non-emergency number one that we would call for like a wellness check?
Correct. So you could reach out to me, depending. So sometimes students don't call people back or respond to text messages. I don't know if you've experienced this. Sometimes I don't call people back or respond to text messages. My mother. But the thing is that. So it is important to can we do it at the lowest level possible? But if there is some real additional concern, we will always work with law enforcement to do a wellness check. Yeah.
Yes.
So how do I get online students involved in some of the clubs that you guys have provided?
Yeah, so Eagle Sync, which if you go to ewu.edu/Eagle Sync, is where the platform that we use to showcase all of the different student clubs and organizations. It's an online tool where you can ask for more information, reach out to the officers, and start a conversation with them. And then it depends on the club as to whether or not their level of involvement is here on campus. It can facilitate online conversations, whether it's here or in Spokane. We have several student organizations that are based in Spokane because of the academic programs like dental hygiene or physical therapy. Those are based in Spokane. So it really is just dependent on the club. But the way to find out about the opportunities is really through that Eagle Sync platform. And departments, not just clubs and organizations, but Eastern's departments will put their information about different ways students can get involved on Eagle Sync as well. So our outdoor program tries to list like what are the upcoming trips on Eagle Sync. And then, a lot of different departments that have, an informational workshop about whatever the content is, they'll put it on Eagle Sync and just really as a marketing tool to say, here's something that's going on you might be interested in, here's how to get involved. The last way is social media. So if you wanted to, explore, all of our programs are listed on social media. All of my team's programs are listed on social media. So I'm not anti-social media, but there's really great information. We try to, respond to different direct messages that folks have about, hey, I want to sign up for this, or tell me more about that. We really try to be responsive to that information.
We'll do one last question.
Oh, real quick. if your student is living in the residence hall. So here's what I'm noticing a little bit, and it's a little bit of a generational shift, right? Which is the millennial broad spectrum generation. They were joiners. They were like, sign me up. I mean, they may not show up on time, but they wanted to be signed up. But the thing is this generation, right, is a little more hesitant. So sometimes they actually really need somebody to go with them or to directly reach out to them, which is why I said, like, if they reach out to me, I'll meet them for coffee. And again, this is broad. So you may have a student that does not fit this mold. If that is the case, if you have a student that's a little more hesitant and they're living on campus, encouraging them to talk to their community advisor or like wellness check, calling the Housing and Residential Life office and just saying like, hey, can we have a community advisor or we call them RLCs, so they're hall coordinators, reach out to the student and try to encourage them to attend something. We find once they start attending and find a couple people, we're good, right? But it is that initial like, so you want me to look on Eagle Sync, and then you want me to go somewhere where I know no one by myself. That seems very wrong. No, like so trying to get them, encourage them, like, do you like your roommate? Can you go with your roommate? Is there somebody on your hall? And encouraging them that way can be helpful.
One last question and then, yeah.
So if a student would like to be a cadet, is that only through, do they have to qualify for work study, or is that?
ROTC?
If a student wants to be a cadet, how do they get, do they have to have work?
For law enforcement
Right.
or okay. I don't know that answer, but here's what I would recommend. I would call EWPD and say, like, what's the credentials, what's the process for this? I would also look on Handshake. I doubt that they need work study. Work study is a total perk, and there are some jobs on campus, just because of how our budgets and funding work, that will say only work study. I doubt that cadets are one of them. But I would reach out to EWPD directly and ask that question. And then that's the other thing about involvement, y'all, and also money, my friends. I highly encourage an on-campus job. I encourage that for a few different reasons. One, it gets them connected with other people on campus that will care about them, look out for them, ask questions, get them connected with resources. Two, it brings in a little bit of cash, and so maybe they're not calling you every week for a new t-shirt. And three, it also just helps them get their skill set up. There are a lot of on-campus jobs so there's a variety out there, so I would encourage an on-campus position.
Yeah, my team alone has between 60 and 100 different student employee positions, so there are plenty of jobs. If your students can't find a job, it's because they're not looking for the job. There are plenty of jobs.
Plus is always hiring too.
And they will have a table out there. So I want you to go to the resource fair. A lot of these areas that they were talking about, they are anxiously waiting for you all. I do want to leave you with this. There is a talking points in your sheet. I encourage you to look at that before you connect with your students and you go on your drive home. There are things that I need you to start to have questions that I need you to start having conversations with your students. These are not all of them. These are just some questions that we have brought up to say, how will you continue to have communication with your students once they're here? How will you help them navigate and staying? We know the first 6 weeks is crucial. We're going to put a lot of events. I'm going to do a whole welcome week, and then we're going to continue to do events. Give us that 6 weeks before you come and say, I don't think this is right for my student. Reach out to me. That's part of my role here at Eastern, is to help you, to help your students, because we just need them to give us a chance, and we need them to see that there are a lot of opportunities for them. But these are just some of the questions that we came up with. They're not all of them. We have our family council. I know you didn't get to talk to Raquel much today, but she is here because as an alum and now as a parent of a student, she's seen a lot and knows a lot about the resources, but also, like she was saying, the pandemic brought a whole new conversation piece that we weren't ready for. So getting involved with the council or coming to some of our meetings would be great. Please help me thank our panelists today.